Well, as regards to the 2022 borders, I don't think anybody is really counting on that, because counting on restoration of those borders would be politically blind and would demonstrate an utter lack of understanding about what is taking place. Russia is upholding our legitimate interests, the legitimate interests of the people whom the Nazis in Kiev, after the seizure of power through the coup, people they labeled terrorists, specimens, non-humans, whose children, through the words of Poroshenko, they threatened to put into the basements while the children of Ukrainian elite eat candy, travel in nice cars, and go to nice schools. I would like to state that there's all this talk about restoration of borders of any certain year, and these discussions have been ongoing for a number of years, and these discussions all have a common link. Ukrainian leaders who seized power after February 2014 illegally consistently lied and derailed all of the agreements that had been arrived at in February 2014. Had there been implementation of the agreement that was signed between the president and opposition, this which was guaranteed by Germany, France, and Poland, had this been honored and fulfilled, Ukraine would have been within its 1991 borders. Then there would have been no events, there would have been no uprising in Crimea of those who refused to recognize the illegitimate authorities, because illegitimate authorities would not have come about. The war would not have started when those who did not recognize the illegitimate authorities were bombed by the Kiev regime. They were burned alive in their homes, as was the case in Odessa in the trade building when 50 people were burned alive. The planes were bombing Lugansk. Artillery was targeting all the territories, and this is categorically prohibited. The use of an army in a domestic conflict, of course, constitutes a violation of IHL, and then there were the Minsk agreements. If the Minsk agreements, which guaranteed Germany and France, yet again, this was sanctioned by the Security Council, approved by the Security Council. Had they been implemented by the upper crust of the Kiev regime, then Ukraine would have been within the 1991 borders, minus Crimea, because there was a referendum held in Crimea. Nobody is disputing that. In 2014, I spoke with John Kerry. This is no secret now. He said that there's a need to forget about Crimea. Let's talk about Donbas. This was undermined, derailed, and Ukraine became even a little bit smaller. And had the agreements been implemented that Ukraine itself proposed in April of 2022, which we agreed to, then Ukraine would have also been within the 1991 borders, minus Crimea, and now minus a larger part of Donbas. But Ukraine torpedoed that too, refusing to implement its own initiative. So there's no discussion of the 2022 borders. So we're talking about the borders which are enshrined in the Constitution of the Russian Federation. What was the second? The second question was having to do with the situation in DPR, specifically the strategic triangle, as it is called. How would you describe that? I will not comment on the situation on the battlefield. First of all, we have been here for a number of days already. But second, this is what the Ministry of Defense has been doing on a regular basis. Military correspondents provide reports about developments, so I'll leave it to them.